So continuing from the first video, Next Stop News, a couple things have happened. From the day I uploaded the video, like right after I uploaded it, I found out that R46s were actually running on the sea starting as of February 16th. And also 76, 22, and 34 have been unwrapped from select bus service duty, so they're all going to go to Grand Avenue to get unwrapped. But this is not what you came here for. You came here for the Coney Island swaps. Since December 4th, 2019, everything changed forever. The N ran R46s out of a somewhat expected surprise to all the transit community, including myself, who was amped as all heck. We saw something which had not occurred in over 30 years. Finally, those 75-footers could breathe. An R46 running on normal service on the N. This is because Queens Boulevard line, which used the E, F, M, and R lines, wants to convert to CBTC, a software which allows trains to communicate with each other without signaling and therefore run closer and more accurately. The problem with it is that it only works on post-2001 trains, and all the R46s on the F and R will be incompatible with the software due to their age and mechanics, so they're moving them to the N, W, Q, G, and maybe the B in the future. It is believed that this massive swap will be complete by March, around the same time that the R32 is slated to retire. It's getting faster by the second, so catch what you want to catch before it's gone. At this rate, we currently have 2 Alstom 8700s left before they start moving on to the Siemens. Now, I was the second person ever to catch the R46W. I was just going to school as usual from Times Square, and then I heard the Q announcer say transfer to the W train, but I saw an R46. I was like, that can't be a W. So I get on, there's like a broken door leaf, and then I look at the sign and it says W. I'm like, oh shoot. I'm like, this is crazy. I caught a R46 on the W. And it's like, it's never happened before. That was the first day ever that the R46 had touched the W. I was super hyped, and that was like one of the best days of the year. So that officially made all R46s touch all Broadway lines. I didn't think they would be gone from the queue, but they're going to be gone from the queue as well. All I knew is Jamaica had 50 full-length R46 trains, and so they needed 50 R160s from Coney Island. But apparently they need much more than that for CBTC, which will enable them to increase the capacity of the line, allowing them to run more trains. So I'm monitoring this swap closely and anticipantly, seeing interesting stuff go back and forth. Seeing the Coney Island sets deep cleaned on Jamaica routes is refreshing from the usual dull R160s. I consider the Jamaica R160s homeless, dirty, smelly, rusty, dim, nasty, rolling biohazards, and by far the worst R160s of the entire fleet. But I'm glad the 9200s and 9400s got fixed up while they were at Coney Island. Do not mess them up again, and don't mess up 8653 to 9177, man. It's refreshing to see R46s on the G. I'd always see one when I'd take the train home from school, around 3:30 or so. One day I saw 3 of them, and I was like, whoa. It was a pleasing and impressive thing, but I was super stoked but not surprised, as I had ridden R46Gs before, which were general order Gs to Coney Island. Still nice to see, like the days before the budget cuts of 2010, but in a whole nother yard. And the best part is they could run them in 4-car sets, so the R46s are spread out on the G. But like myself and as well as a few other people believe, they should take the 6200s and give them to Coney Island so they could run 6-car sets on the G again. But now that they're going to retire the R32, that's highly unlikely. We thought the R46F would be gone by December 23rd, but that was crazy asinine thinking. The 160s to Jamaica is not really a big deal because they already have R160s, except for the original Coney Island R160s. That's a big deal because of the newness of them, the screens, the 86, 87, and 8800 series. That's a big deal. Now my favorite line in all of this has to be the Q. I love the 160s being there and they feel fun to ride. It was holding out against the winds of change until about February, and it was filled with the Siemens and 8700s until R46s slowly began to take over. Also Atlantic, but on January 29, 2020, this stronghold was broken as the first official R46Q ran in revenue service. Then February 4th, they got their first direct transfer from the F to the Q, which was 5488 and 5774. That was a shocker even to me. And the first 8600s arriving at Jamaica was also a shock to me. I think it was 8653 that came first. I mean, sending 8700s and 8842 was something, but this was something totally different. I mean, like, it was nice to see 8777 on the E and 8842 on the E and F. They've been transferring the R160A2 8600s, the originals, off the N and W. That was like 4 weeks ago. Once all the 8600s were gone, they moved on to transferring the 8700s to Jamaica to join 8777. And they even transferred a couple 8800s as well. So let's talk about the future of this swap. Obviously, there's only two 8700s left, R160B Awesomes at Coney Island, which is like 4 sets. And after that, they're obviously going to move on to the Siemens. The 160s will basically be gone from the N and W for good after all is said and done, with 4 Siemens R160B sets being left, and R46s will dominate the lines. The Q, once thought to forever hold one class of R160s, will break for Jamaica's demand and run R46s and R68s from the G and B. The F and R will soon be all R160s, as you can already see, but the former sooner than the latter. Now, the R46F, I thought it was going to be gone around January 25th, but it wasn't. It's greatly diminished, though. Days ago, it was almost impossible to catch an R46F. When I rode my last R46F on January 25th, 2020, there were only 3 out on that day. But they cannot cease operation on the F because they need one to run the King's Highway every day to make a swap to Coney Island. As of now, there are almost no more R46s on the F because there's enough R160s to facilitate the use of fully new tech trains on the F. And here's how it works. The R160s can debut on any line, E, F, and R, but mostly the latter two. We have to talk about that Siemens, man. Remind me later. So basically, once the R46s in Jamaica are gone, by March or so, it's basically a wrap for the R46s on the Culver, 6th Avenue, Lower 4th Avenue Local, and Queens Boulevard lines. The R46s on the R will basically be the last man standing, even though its stronghold has already been overcome, and 8678 and 8688 debuted on the R, which I thought was really nice. It wasn't ready to leave Broadway, I guess. But basically, Coney Island had to kick the 9200s, 9400s, 9100s, and out first to stall for time. And now they've moved on to the 86, 87, and 8800s, with 8662 being transferred February 4th. The Siemens, like I said, will stick out at Coney Island the longest, as all you can see are Siemens, basically mostly on the Q, but a couple have been spotted on the N and W. They even transferred the blue 160 and the white 160, which surprised me drastically. But it's nice to see Coney Island rehabbed R46s on the N passing by. The first were 5814 and 5678, and a couple others. And this is good because Jamaica will be able to interchange the equipment wherever it wants to the so now they don't have to have restricted fleets, like restricted R46s to the R and restricted R160s to the E. Now they could run all the R160s on any of the lines they so choose. And that's the good part. And it's also the bad part because it means all the R160s will only be in one place. I mean, that is good if you don't like the R160s. It's like they'll be tucked away forever from the N and W. But if you want to see variety, that's bad. But the N, Q, and W will basically be R46s. The B and G will be R68s. The F and R will be R160s along with the E and M, with the last R46 probably running on the R and the swap being over by March, as I said before. However, So basically, this is the most interesting part of the swap right now, because now the Q is in the mix. It's getting R46s, and I really like the R46s on the Q. It's different and it's interesting. I'm really excited for the Q's future, especially because right now it's holding most of the seam. I mean, this is exciting. Never ever has the Q's consistent use of R160s been broken officially since the SMEs retired in 2010. So the current status is all the 9000 R160A2 Alstoms from 9103 and R160B Alstoms from 9103 to 9942 are at Jamaica, meaning no more non-Siemens 9000s are at Coney Island. And at Jamaica, meaning no more non-Siemens 9000s are at Coney Island. The Q is now in picking range because they started removing 8700s and 8600s directly off the Q and started putting R46s on the Q, which previously couldn't be transferred, but now they were being transferred. But in the past, the strategy was to have the Q run mostly Siemens to make the swap easier by swapping the Alstoms directly off of the N and W. It'll be interesting to see more R46s run up 2nd Avenue in droves. Now we can talk about that Siemens, and after that it gets even more interesting. 9013 to 9017 and 8893 to 8897 went to the E around December 23rd, which shocked the heck out of everybody, including myself. January 4th, I wrote it and it felt so surreal and weird. But it transferred so early and so alone to test on Queens Boulevard line to see if the Siemens were compatible with CBTC and ran for over 2 months, which was mad interesting. It even ran on the F, but sadly I didn't catch that. Never has a Siemens officially ran in Queens Boulevard before. Wow! The E, which has been bland since 2008 and also homeless, now finally has something worth fanning. It resumed testing February 1st, and it has to pass because 16 Siemens must transfer. This is more extensive than I thought. But we're still awaiting confirmation of what will happen before the second Siemens set is transferred, but 8893 to 9017 must pass so this can go through. But it's not known when this may occur, and that they're not ready to receive the Siemens yet. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We'll know when that time comes, however, but whatever happens, this will be interesting. And obviously they can't undo what was done, so R46s must remain in Coney Island and R160s must remain in Jamaica. And I was always wondering what would happen with all the Siemens R160s if they stay at Coney Island, go to Jamaica, or transfer to another yard, which are all good options. If Coney Island keeps R160s, it'll only have 4 trains or 40 cars left, and they may just swap them with another yard for something else. Like, I could see them swapping it with Pitkin on the A line to swap some R46s to Coney Island, so they could have only one type of car like the A used to have. Or they could do something else, but who knows. Wow, whoever thought that Coney Island's R160s could be taken down and out? So the Q would become R46 and some R160s if they keep those. But I heard that it will most likely become R68s with a couple pairs of R46s. And here's where it becomes more interesting. The B runs out of Coney Island as well with the G. So the R46 can theoretically run on the B, and it's already running on the G. But if it runs on the B, it would have broken its R68 brotherhood with the D. If it does so it may not happen. And if it does so, it'll probably cause concourse confusion, which may trigger concourse yard. But I've heard they give the R46s to the G when this is all over, so the R68s on the G could move to the N, Q, and W, like in the days of old in 2007, with the N and W being a mix of R46s and R68s. But seriously, we would all flip out if an R46 went to the Bronx on the B. Overall, this is the most interesting thing to happen in a long time. Not since the 160s came back in 2006 has it been so lit. I mean, I love the R46s, especially on Astoria, but I will miss the fast feeling of the R160Q train. And the aftermath is really going to hit me. No more scowling at R160s on the Q when I'm on the B, hoping that I win the race to cross the switch. No more decent looking R160s. No more new anything in Coney Island until the R211s. No more non-homeless R160s. Wow, that's really going to hit hard once this thing is complete. This all raises an important question of where the R211s will go when they arrive, but due to the complicated nature of this discussion, I'll leave it alone. But I do want them to go to the A, N, and W, as it will be hot. Now, it's time to talk about public confusion. Here's what you must understand. The train riders are used to one specific model being on one specific line and therefore associate equipment with a certain line, since there hasn't been a serious transit shakeup since 2010. On Broadway and Queens Boulevard line, for instance, everyone used to know that when an R46 would come, that was an R train. If it came on the express track in Queens Boulevard, that was an F train. And they used to know on Broadway, whenever a new train came on Broadway, it was always an N, Q, or W, with an occasional dark and old N and W, which is the R68. And they always knew that if a fat express came, it was never an E, and that the F was a mixture of old and new trains. They always knew that. But with the Jamaica fleet swap, the only confusion on Queens Boulevard line might be confusing the new R's for M's because they differ in length, which is unlikely because it's only a 2-car difference, and the announcements will clarify where you're going. But the main confusion is and will be on Broadway. Now, as you go down the steps at Times Square, especially in the middle, and look down at an R46, there's no announcements as you rush for your train. And sometimes the signs on the R46s are broken, mostly all the time, and you're pretty much finished. So you expect the R46 to be an R and your R160 to be an N and W until this fleet swap occurred. And then you switch onto the wrong track, and you say, whoa, hold on now, this is an N. What the heck is going on? I've seen a couple people wonder which train they were getting on when they would step onto an R46, and I've heard that it's confusing for a lot of people. Also, the dwell times are much longer for the N and Q, which might be devastating for service, because you have to do 8 times 8, which is 64 doors on each side instead of 80 doors on each side that are provided with your usual 10-car consist. So it might be devastating for service, maybe. But if the F can deal with it, the N may be fine. Maybe. Seeing an old Q, though, might throw Brighton riders off until they learn to differentiate the trains by the sign types instead of the model. And if the R46s run on both the B and the Q, it'll shake them up even more and undo the logic of my previous statements. Besides that, concourse riders may mistake it for a local A train if the sign is broken, or a C train, because now we got to deal with the R46s moving to the C. And then they might even end up in the Bronx by mistake. What the heck is going on? Also, the crew is used to concourse being all R68, so it might trigger their OCD to see R46s in uncharted territory. That last one was supposed to be a joke, but seriously, there's already enough confusion with Q's becoming N's, N's becoming Q's, the M running to 96, and equipment being unpredictable. You have R46s everywhere. The even more confusing part is that both models run from both yards. So, once the dust settles, there'll be less confusion. But the realization that Coney Island got robbed might cause some anger to set in. Where are our new N's, Q's, and W's? Out there becoming homeless on the E. So what, though? MTA had to do it, and it's the MTA should just ignore everyone's complaints, including mine. Because just like the R62As on the 6 and the R188s on the 7 for CBTC, it had to be done for the sake of CBTC. It's what CBTC does. It screws things up. Just wait for 8th Avenue and Astoria and Crosstown CBTC and see what happens. Whoops, I said too much. And that R32A and R46C will finish it off, at least until March. So basically, to avoid confusion, just figure out what train it is by the signs and announcements. And if you're really confused, just ask the conductor, him or herself. And don't judge a train based off of its car type, but based off of these former details. And best of all, don't get mad. See you guys at the next stop. Wait, we're not done. I'm at Atlantic Avenue, and I just saw an R46Q, and it's the first time I've seen an R46Q be the first Brooklyn-bound Q at Atlantic Avenue. So that's showing you the swap is really getting serious. And also, besides that, as of now, the R160B Siemens is also running on the R. So try to catch that. Enjoy.